psychological contract. Isn't the notion of a psychological contract contradictory? Contract in psychology. We think of a contract as a precise legal document, signed and dated. The contracting parties make promises about future behavior under threat of sanctions or contractual termination. The contract sets commitments, reassures about the future, and anticipates it. Psychology, on the other hand, is unpredictable. It varies depending on situations, contexts, individuals, even beliefs. A contract can specify skills, projects, and actions, but how can you prescribe a psychological behavior such as motivation, guilt, or empathy? And yet, making a contract is fundamentally psychological. This was notably demonstrated by Denis Rousseau, a professor at Carnegie Mellon University in the United States. And why would a contract be psychological? What practical and theoretical interest does this concept offer? Let us remember that no one is obliged to honor a contract in societies where the individual is defined by their freedom. You and I are free to keep our promises or not. A contract does not compel. It frames human relationships, and these human relationships depend mainly on psychological factors. What are they? Well, first of all, you and I, as different individuals, with our age, gender, previous experiences with commitments, personal projects, standards of living, and so on, each perceive the same terms of commitment differently. The contract is said to be idiosyncratic, meaning personal and biographical. For the same event, for example, more frequent travel to another work site, I might perceive it as an unacceptable breach of contract, while you might simply see it as a routine professional adjustment. There is also what is called a normative psychological contract. This refers to the fact that several individuals share the same psychological contract. This normative psychological contract makes it possible, for example, to identify the contractual commitments that members of a profession or a team believe in and uphold. It can also be a territory or a place. In this case, a contractual change will be perceived in the same way by each member of the group. After thousands of observations in various organizations across many countries, two opposing types of psychological contracts have emerged: the relational psychological contract and the transactional psychological contract. The main concern of the first is to maintain a long-term contractual relationship. Written promises may be disregarded, but these are not seen as breaches of contract. On the other hand, if I operate with a transactional psychological contract, my goal is to carry out the specified and clearly defined actions without any interest in a relationship that goes beyond that. There is also an index to identify these psychological contracts and to estimate how they evolve. And to conclude, the theory of the psychological contract makes it possible to work on organizational democracy and CSR, whether we are thinking about the prevention of psychosocial risks, organizational transformations, or the management of mobility within multicultural teams, for example.